Welcome back to the Lucas Oil Raceway Racers Tribune. Episode number 4 is going to feature Nathanael Stoner. He's a little bit more on the test and tune side, specifically Wild Wednesday. We talk about Wild Wednesday quite a bit. If you don't know what Wild Wednesday is, it's a test and tune series that we run here at Lucas Oil Raceway on select Wednesday nights throughout the season. You can race just about anything. We've got junior dragsters that come out. We've got super comp dragsters. We have street cars. We have race cars. A little bit of everything. Trucks, bikes. You can race just about anything at Lucas Oil Raceway on Wild Wednesday. Just a test and tune, right? That's how Nathanael Stoner got started in drag racing just a few years ago. He now drives Sublime Green Challenger if you ever see him out at the track. But he just picked it up a couple of years ago by coming to Wild Wednesday and some of the test and tunes. He loved it. He loved it so much. In fact, now he's racing in our bracket series for points in the sportsman class here at Lucas Oil Raceway. So we'll let Nathanael Stoner tell you all about he got involved in drag racing, how much he loved it, and where he's at now since he got into it just a couple of years ago. So we've got Nathanael Stoner here this week on the Racers Tribune. Nathanael, pretty new to drag racing relatively. Do you mind if I ask how old you are?
24.
24? Okay, so you're 24. You've been racing for a few years, but a lot of the people we got here at Lucas Oil Raceway, they've been racing for their entire lives. They grew up in families that raced. You know, they've been in junior dragsters. They've been crew for their parents. You don't necessarily have that background. So how did you kind of get into racing?
So a few years back, I got my first Dodge Challenger. The thing that drew me to the car was the legroom. So I'm 6'4", there aren't a lot of cars I can fit. But then I found out real quick that they're real fun cars, and decided I wanted to take that to the track and try it. So started out doing a Wild Wednesday test and tunes. Then last year I decided I wanted to start bracket racing for points.
Sure.
Did fairly well. Ended up 12th in Sportsman last year. Now I have an SRT 392, another Challenger. I'm a Challenger guy, which is a big upgrade from the V6. We're still bringing it out to the track and still loving it.
So I don't have a racing background, so I'm kind of learning some things on the go. Probably very similar to your first year or two, right? But drag racing, unlike a lot of sports, can be a little confusing, right? I mean, you start throwing addition and subtraction into the mix when it comes to dial-ins and things like that.
Yeah.
It gets a little tricky, right? Reaction times. So what was that learning curve like for you? I mean, did you pick it up quickly, or did you have to kind of study up a little bit?
So it was a lot of trial and error.
Yeah.
Because when I started out, I didn't even know how to stage. I didn't realize, how the lights work.
Yeah.
Everything. And then I started to brag race and learned about dial-ins, and then get more advanced into that. You learn how things like the DA affects how quick a car runs and all these little things. So it was. It was really learn as you go for me.
So you talked a little bit about jumping from Wild Wednesdays, just a test and tune, kind of bring what you own type thing, right? Street cars. We get all kinds of vehicles out here. We get dragsters, race cars, the daily drivers, things people drive to and from work. So then you jump into bracket racing, which there's a sportsman class. Typically, most people aren't driving their daily drivers at a bracket race, right? It's a little more competitive than that. What was that transition like, right? I mean, you're pretty new to drag racing, and here you are going up against, some seasoned veterans in the next lane.
Yeah. So a lot of that was I found out about bracket racing and. Just when I was still driving the stock V6 Challenger and realized that, hey, this is a form of racing where you don't have to have the most powerful car to still compete. And so that was really what drew me to it. And again, that was a big learning curve, and this year even more of a learning curve with the 6.4 liter V8. It's a big difference. But
have you? I don't believe you won a bracket race last year, correct?
Last year, no.
Yeah. So what?
Not a full.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have to imagine as not to say that you're a little kid by any means, but you're kind of. but it's like I can imagine winning that first bracket race whenever you've picked something up. You've picked up the hobby, right? Like I assume for someone like you who's starting out, like that's That's got to be like you're ready for that, aren't you?
Oh yeah, it's a great feeling to see that wind light come on.
So you just got a new car, right?
Yeah.
I know you're pumped about it.
Oh, yeah.
What do you have? What's why are you so excited about it?
Yeah, so it's a 2015 Dodge Challenger SRT 392, Sublime Green, 485 horsepower to the crank. I got a set of drag radials on it now. It's just kind of like it launches so much harder than my last car. It's like a roller coaster ride. That was the first time I took it down the track. So I have a dash cam in my car, and I recorded myself, my reaction to it. And there were a few choice words I won't repeat here, but it was all I was pumped. I was thrilled, adrenaline going, everything. Yeah. But yeah, it's for me. It's all about the fun. It's all about that rush.
You have any more plans? I mean, like you mentioned that the stock car you had a little bit ago. You put drag radials on this one. Do you have any more plans for kind of modifications?
So I'm planning to put it on E85 at some point.
Gotcha.
People mentioned Pro Charger, but we'll kind of see what the future holds, step by step on it. Sure. I also want to get used to the car as is. I want to get as much out of it as I can before I start throwing power at it. Try to master what's there.
When it comes to some of that stuff, do you have resources, right, when it comes to people or things like that, right? Because I don't believe you grew up around racing, right? And so, a lot of people, they've got help from dad. They've got help from people they grew up at the track with, right? Where do you go whenever you might have questions or you're trying to do something that maybe you aren't too familiar with?
So, I got a lot of good friends that hang out here at the track. There's a lot of people that have helped me out. I try to name all the names here. We're running out of time.
Sure.
But it's the nice thing is the people, drag racing community I found is super friendly, super accepting, and super helpful to new people. At first you're kind of intimidated and don't think that's going to be the case, but when you get into it, everybody's here to have fun. Everybody wants to see the sport advance and see more people come to the sport and help people out. So, and
that's kind of why. That's kind of some of the motivation behind doing this, right? Yeah. Is as Lucas Oil Raceway and NHRA employees, we our job is to understand the sport of drag racing, and to do that, such a big part of it is the racing community. I mean, the people who come to the track every Wednesday, every weekend for the bracket races and things like that, who they live here. This is their second home. This is a vacation to some extent for them because it's where they come and they have fun, and they do it every weekend or once a week or whatever the case is. And they're all so close. They all are friends. You've got a second family here type of situation. And so it's great that you bring that up because that's why we want to tell your story and the stories of others, because it is such an embracing type of community that it's worth telling these stories because it is a second family. You're all family. Everyone needs to hear these stories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a great time, and you come here, you get the thrill of running your car, and also a community to be a part of.
Sure. Yeah. So you're a couple of years into this. You've got the new car, right? You're taking those steps to be as competitive as possible. What are some of your goals in drag racing, right? I mean, are you at this point, maybe you're just looking to win a bracket race, right? But at the end of this run, right, 10, 20 years from now, what are you trying to accomplish in drag racing?
So right now, it's let's say a lot of it is, like I said, for the fun of it, trying to a lot of it's trying to beat my own records, reaction time, ET, and everything. Try to see how much I can get out of the car. I'm not planning on going pro top fuel or anything, but eventually, keep upgrading the car, keep upgrading cars, getting to bigger bracket races, heads up race, stuff like that.
So for you are not somebody who you've got a solid car, solid sport car, a lot of power to it, but to this point yet, it's not a sports or it's not a super pro type of car yet, right?
No.
And so you're not quite to that level where this is, you don't go home from work and work on your race car in the garage every night because you've got to get it tuned up.
Yeah. It's like this is my daily driver too.
Yeah. And so what what's your full-time job, right? What do you do during the day, right? What are you doing to keep busy, so that you can get to the point where maybe you have a race car or something like that?
Yeah, so I'm a software quality assurance analyst. Basically a software tester. I work on right now working on software for the state of Indiana. So this is so this is a big difference from looking at the screen all day, looking at code and stuff like that. It's,
sure.
Sort of a chance to let loose and do something different.
Do you have just out of curiosity, do you have friends at work that you can talk about drag racing with or that understand? Or
oh yeah. It's when I started the job I'm at now. I have about a dozen model challengers that I put up in my cubicle, and so I get questions about them, and people would say, "Oh, you race?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I do." And so it was a conversation starter.
Yeah, you walk into a cubicle or an office or whatever, and you see, like you said, little challenges all over the place. When you're talking to a software, you're working on computers and stuff like that, I could see where that would be different, right? You're not used to seeing that in the business world, right? Yeah. At least not in computers, I would think. So, well, you know what? It's great to see, people kind of coming into the sport of drag racing, taking it seriously, helping to kind of, I don't want to say spread awareness like it's a cause, right? But to kind of help advance the sport of drag racing, right? And help kind of expand that community that we touched on a little bit. So kudos to you, right, for making it this far. Hopefully we'll see you in a winner's circle at a bracket race soon, something like that.
Yeah.
And continuing to enjoy the sport, right? That's the goal, right?
Yeah, that's the main thing for me.
Well, thank you for coming on here to the Racers Tribune, Oil Raceway, Racers Tribune, and hopefully we'll see you again in the future.
Thanks for having me. I'll be around here.
Thanks again for watching another episode of the Lucas Oil Raceway Racers Tribune. If you have a story to tell, or if you know somebody who does, be sure to head over to lucasoilraceway.com/tribune for more information on the Racers Tribune, what it is, and how you can be a part of it. Thanks again, and see you next time.